Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliffAuD vlog. This is vlog number 132. I am fresh back from my 14-year anniversary vacation with my wife. We actually went up to Mount Rainier in Washington State, spent a day and a half or so in Seattle, kind of seeing things around there. But what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today is this whole idea of burnout. And before I get into it, if you could do me a huge favor, click that like button, hit the subscribe button as well if you want to see more of these vlog style videos. But with that out of the way, I really appreciate it. Now let's talk about this concept. So about a week ago, I was interviewed by someone online, and this individual who runs kind of like a marketing company for Audiology was asking me a bunch of questions about, creating content and working in the clinic and all of that stuff. And basically, was asking me, Cliff, how do you do all of the stuff that you do without burning out? And it took me a second to kind of think of how I wanted to answer this question, but I honestly think that burnout happens when you end up putting a lot of effort and energy into something, and I guess the value that you're giving isn't reciprocated by whoever you're doing it for. So if you think of it in the terms of audiology, it's like being an audiologist, going into a clinic, giving a lot of your best energy and all of your best efforts to help someone hear their best, and not having essentially appreciation given back to you for that. And I see this a lot inside of the world of audiology. It always seems like we're trying to get people to do something that they don't want to do and it's expensive, right? So people typically are fighting against having to treat their hearing loss, or at least some people are. And then they have to spend a good amount of money to get their hearing loss treated and treated well. And so you spend all this time as an audiologist trying to convince someone of the value of treating their hearing loss, and in this particular case with hearing aids. But it's the same thing if you're doing cochlear implants. It's the same thing if you're an ear, nose, and throat surgeon who is doing surgeries on people's ears. There's essentially this aspect of resistance to wanting to do any kind of a treatment. And so in my world, we have that aspect of it in the clinic, but to be honest with you, I don't get it as much as I think a lot of audiologists do. I think that there's a lot of audiologists out there, or hearing instrument specialists out there, who have a much harder time because they're essentially doing a lot of convincing. And one of the benefits that I have is that I'm doing a lot of my sharing information here online, and so patients just decide that they want to come into our clinic and get treated. That's why our treatment acceptance rates are so high, and that's why I feel like burnout isn't really that big of a thing. But then you kind of take that and you go, or at least I take it, and I go online and do all of this content creation, right? I would say that 95 to 98% of the feedback that I get from the video content that I create is positive, right? Where people are like, we're really appreciative of you sharing all this information. And then you have the other, 2 to 5% of individuals who just find any way that they can to say something negative about the content that I'm creating. And I'm a big fan of free speech. You can say what you want as long as it's not something like political, as long as it's not something where you're cursing or saying just something mean about somebody, because I'll block you from leaving comments if you're doing that kind of stuff. But in general, if you disagree with me on something, I'm totally okay with you disagreeing. I mean, that's the great thing about, being free human beings with our own ability to think for ourselves, is that you don't have to agree with everybody on their opinions. But it gets to this point where I don't have a whole lot of in-person interaction when creating content. So the idea that burnout could happen with content creation is totally a real thing, and you see this in other content creators that are out there as well. I haven't necessarily felt it, but I do feel like creating a massive amount of content is something that can go and lead you to burnout, essentially. One of the nice things, though, about being able to get away on this 1 week long vacation, actually it wasn't even a full week, it was like a 5-day long vacation that I had with my wife, was that we were able to get away. And I'll show you guys some footage of that at the end of this video if you want to stick around. But it was nice to be able to get away and have staff at the clinic that are capable of handling pretty much anything. It was nice to get away and actually get away from creating content during that week. We've been taking a lot of content on my channel that I've already created and kind of repurposing it into shorter content. So if you're not following me on Instagram, if you're not following me on TikTok, if you're not following me on Facebook, I would highly recommend that that you go and subscribe to those platforms, because you're going to see little tidbits of, nuggets of information that we put out there with the help of Brad Stewart, who's a doctor of audiology as well, but he manages a lot of my content for me. But it's nice to be able to get away for a week and not really just have to worry about anything. And that was kind of nice to kind of recharge the batteries, and any time that I'm away from making content and seeing patients, I'm like, man, I really kind of want to get back and see patients again, and I really want to get back and start creating videos again. So it's kind of this weird world that I live in, where if you really like what you do and you have appreciation for those things that you do from other people, I think it's really hard to run into burnout. But I think that, and maybe even yourself, if you work in a job or a profession where you don't get a lot of appreciation shown to you, it's really difficult to stay motivated to do all of the things that you need to do in the work environment. And then you end up taking it home, and then it ends up being a negative for your home life. So, I just don't think that, for me anyway, in my clinic, that burnout is an issue. But this is something that I do notice as I've spent more and more time in this world of audiology, that has the potential of having burnout for other audiologists who are working for me. So basically what I do inside of the clinic is we have one day a week that's not a Saturday or Sunday, or sorry, not one day a week. We have one day a month that is not a Saturday or Sunday that a full-time audiologist gets the day off, and it does not count against their vacation time inside of the clinic. So whether that's a Friday, whether that's a Monday, we've had it be on a Tuesday or whatever. But when you are a professional in any profession and you're working Monday through Friday, that doesn't leave you a whole lot of time to go out and do the other things that you need to be able to do, like go to doctor's visits yourself, or just go and have an extra long weekend with family members, or whatever the case may be, to kind of recharge the batteries. So that was something that was important to us when we started building out a team of audiologists. We really wanted to try to do things that would try to prevent burnout from happening. And on top of that, I still think that the audiologists inside of my clinic are in a better position than most audiologists in other clinics, meaning that a lot of the patients who come into our clinic, they understand what we're there to do, because we've put out so much educational content. They know what our intent is, so they know that we're not just there trying to sell them something. And so I think that goes a long way when you're an audiologist. You have someone who comes in and they're like, hey, listen, appreciate all the information that you guys have put out there. I've learned a lot. I'm here to make sure that I get my hearing loss treated the best it can possibly be treated. So, I'm in your hands. You tell me what you think is best for me, and then let's just go ahead and do it. When you get someone who comes in with that kind of approach, it is very refreshing, and you know that they appreciate what you're going to do, and they trust your expertise. You're not having to fight with them to say, listen, it is in your best interest to do this particular treatment. It's not something that we have to do a whole lot inside of the clinic. And on top of that, I think that the industry of treatment with hearing aids as a whole, I think that a lot of the times when someone is getting beaten down day in, day out by patients who just don't necessarily value what their hearing care professional is doing for them, it makes them not really want to do their best job, if I'm being quite honest. I mean, I talk about best practices all the time, but if I had patients who came in and were just mean to me, or expressly did not value the things that I was doing for them, I don't know how much I'd be incentivized to make sure that I did everything exactly the right way for them. So I kind of sympathize to some degree with some other hearing care professionals out there who are not valued for the things that they do. But by no means do I want to make this sound like I feel like that's the responsibility of a patient to show appreciation, to make a hearing care professional do what they should be doing. I still think the hearing care professional should do what they're doing, but it is likely going to lead to burnout. So, what I would say is this. The vast majority of you who watch my content do not come and see me in my clinic, and you will never come in to see me in my clinic. You're going to another hearing care professional, whether it's a Hearing Up Network member, whether it's not a Hearing Up Network member, but it's just another audiologist or another hearing instrument specialist who you're probably happy with. You have to make sure that you express that happiness to them. Let them know how much you appreciate them, because the last thing that you want to have happen is what happened to my dog's vet. All right, so we have a veterinarian that my wife found that we loved for our dog Charlie Girl, and we just found out all of a sudden that she was not practicing anymore. Her husband is still working at the clinic as a veterinarian, but she decided that that was it. She was just done, and we don't even know why, and that's kind of the hardest thing. And we can only speculate that the rigors of owning a private veterinary clinic ended up getting to her. And it could have been a variety of other things, but that was kind of the impression that we got when talking to the staff at the veterinary clinic. And it's unfortunate. And, you know, I mean, obviously animals can't express appreciation, but their owners can, or their owners can be really mean and rude and nasty, right? So it really just comes down to, if you appreciate what someone is doing for you, just make sure that you let them know, because that is going to go a long way for them wanting to go the extra mile for you, and it's going to go a long way for them to actually be your hearing care professional for years to come. So that's my word of advice right there. All right, so that is pretty much all I wanted to talk about from a serious perspective, talking about audiologist burnout. But right now, I really just want to show you some different footage from our vacation. Me and Ashley, we really just like to go hiking. That's pretty much the thing that we enjoy the most. We did spend a day in Seattle because, you know, we wanted to see a little bit of the sights there, and we did go to a glass museum, which is really cool. I'll show you some footage of that as well, but I hope you guys enjoy the next few minutes watching the slideshow of my vacation. All right, guys, that is it for today's vlog. I just want to let you know that I'm actually going out of town again this next weekend for one of my sniper reunions in Texas. So I'm really going to try to create a vlog video for you before I go. But if you do not see a vlog from me next week, it's because I'm hanging out with a bunch of buddies that I had when I was serving as a scout sniper back in the Marine Corps. So as always, guys, I'll see you either next week or the week after.